Hey everybody, this is Ron, and I finally had time to crack open the third and final Dune graphic novel adaptation. Once again, this project was adapted by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson, with illustrations by Raoul Allen and Patricia Martin. I think this might be the best out of the three, and not just because it contains most of the rising action of the novel, but it's really because of how it executes those events so well. First of all, I think it's perfectly paced. I've talked a bit about this in previous reviews, but the page designs and the panel layouts are on another level in this volume, and that's saying a lot because they were already pretty interesting in volumes 1 and 2. The scope of some of these pages is jaw-dropping, especially some of the double-page spreads with the Fremen riding the sandworms into battle. The use of color is masterful as well. There are distinct color schemes used for different houses and different environments, and this is a great way to kind of separate locations and characters and give them their own style. This book is anything but bland. There's so much going on in each panel, and I've probably touched on this in my last two reviews, but the painstaking level of detail in every single background character is really impressive to me. You can go through and look at every Fremen character in the background of a panel, and each one has a different expression and a different look. The quality never dips in this adaptation, and that is no small feat because, as we all know, there's a lot going on in this story. And speaking of the story, this last volume opens on Giedi Prime when the Baron survives an assassination attempt by his nephew Fade. And from this section on, the whole graphic novel moves at a breakneck pace. The first volume was a bit jarring for me because I wasn't used to the designs compared to what I had in my head reading the books, and the art style wasn't my cup of tea at first glance, but I have to say I feel like I judged it a little too early because I love the look of everything in this book, even the still suits, which took some getting used to. The ships look so unique. Paul has a little bit of an edge to him now that he knows his purpose, and Alia is one of the highlights of this volume. It was so great to see a visual depiction of how she was in the novel because we didn't get that with Dune Part 2, and that's fine. I really liked what they did in that film, but it's great to have something a little more faithful here. I loved seeing the Fremen react to Alia because she really freaks them out, and that was perfectly realized on the page. The only thing that I think could have went on for a few more pages was the attack on the shield wall with the Fremen riding the sandworms into battle. Even though that particular page is absolutely amazing, I felt like it could have been just a little bit more drawn out since this is a comic book and everything is visual. But for the most part, I give these illustrators a lot of credit because it must be really hard adapting material like this for comics. There's a lot of people standing around and talking and scheming in the Dune series, and somehow they make every single panel interesting and fluid. There are obviously less words on the page than the novel, but it didn't feel like anything was missing or left out, and that's the sign of a really well-written adaptation, in my opinion. I really enjoyed all three of these volumes, and this last one is by far the most epic and beautiful presentation, so they definitely saved the best for last. You can now buy either the box set with all three, or you can purchase the deluxe editions, which come in fancy slipcases. But either way, I highly recommend that you grab these if you're a Dune fan, because I really think that a lot of love and care went into this project, and I'm very curious to see if they end up continuing these graphic novels with Dune Messiah. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos, and thanks for watching.